In this video, we're checking out 3 new sets of DJ Crawler tires, including the gargantuan 68mm mud stud tires, which I believe are the biggest 1-inch tires ever made. We're going to open all of these up. We're going to check out the compound. We'll do some size comparisons. We'll put all of them on a build, and then we'll hit the indoor course and we'll hit the rock course as well, so that I can give you guys a good perspective on how all of these tires perform and look on the rigs. So DJ Crawler has been crushing it lately with their tires, so I'm really excited to get into these. Let's open them up and check them out. All right, let's jump in here. So we've got 2 sets of 60mm, 60 by 25mm tires, I believe. Those are these 2 over here. And we've got the big boys here, the 68mm. Let's take a look at these smaller ones first. One thing that I do like is that DJ Crawler provides 2 sets of inserts with each one of these. These are your stiffer inserts here, and they are quite stiff. This would be great if you have a hard body, if you're carrying a lot of weight on your truck. Okay, look at these monsters here. Man, these things are meaty looking, aren't they? They don't have a specific name on the tires, a model name, so the part number on these is DJ1214. That's what these first ones are. Like I said before, these are a 60 by 25mm tire. Very aggressive tread pattern on these. It reminds me of a Super Swamper. It has these big, gnarly lugs going in opposing directions on either side, and you have these smaller lugs in between here. Huge gaps in between the lugs here. You know, these are just going to clean out extremely well. This is going to hook up in really, really gnarly, wet, muddy conditions here. And I can imagine that these sharp-edged lugs, these are going to grab onto rocks, ledges, all kinds of things. And look at the super gnarly sidewall too. Compound on these things feel fantastic. The inserts that come in the soft set are quite soft, which I like. I like a lot of conformity in my tires. You love that sound. You get that great clicky sound, that sticky, soft rubber. The compound on these tires is excellent. They're very sticky. See that? So good. This is on par with some of the best compounds on the market right now. Feels a lot like the Endura S5, the super sticky compound from Endura. I mentioned the Super Swamper. The first thing that came to mind was kind of the Proline Super Swampers. But as you can see here, just look how much gnarlier the DJ Crawler ones are. Taller, wider, just all around a meatier tire, but very similar overall tread design, if you can see that. Let's check out our next 60mm tire here. So these ones come with the harder insert installed in the tire from the bag. They are so sticky, I'm having a hard time getting them out of the bag. Wow, these are outrageously sticky. I don't know if it's a different compound or what, but it feels significantly stickier than the first ones we looked at. These are the DJ1213. I wonder if they put the harder insert in them because this is a more subtle tire. It's got more of an all-terrain look to it rather than a mud terrain. The lugs are not nearly as gnarly or as deep as and etched as the other ones were. Take the insert out of this one. Oh, these are ultra sticky. Wow. This is wild. Probably the stickiest tire I've ever come across. We'll see how that translates into performance, but man, these things are sticky. These ones kind of remind me of the Endura all-terrains. Look at these. This is the 58mm Endura all-terrains that came out earlier this year. Kind of that same square-edged profile. The DJ Crawler ones are slightly taller. There's about 2mm difference on these. The width is very close. At 25mm wide like the previous tire. Pretty close to the Endura, which is 24 is what Endura has on the tire, but they look wider than the DJ Crawlers, which claim to be a 25mm wide tire. Why don't we do some size comparisons with these two? So we've got the 2 DJ Crawlers here. Let's check out some aftermarket tires. So we looked at the Endura 58mm all-terrain. the Rock Lizards from the AX24, because I felt like that was a very similar size. And also, let's put the Little Guy Racing Parts gripper tire in there too. See, these are all very comparable in overall size. The gripper is a more narrow tire, but probably the tallest out of the bunch here. The Rock Lizard, very, very close to the DJ Crawler tires. And like we looked at earlier, the Endura tires, slightly shorter, but even though they claim to be a 24mm wide tire, they look to be the widest on the bench here. If we were to compare these against some stock tires, so let's look at it against an SCX24. This is a stock Nitto Trail Grappler. See, these DJ Crawler tires dwarf the SCX24 tire. Not so much in height, but in overall mass, they are much bigger, significantly wider. But you could run these with minimal modifications, I think, on an SCX24. Let's look at them against a Canyon Trail from the TRX 4M. Minor step up in terms of height, very close in width. So this would be a great replacement for a TRX 4M. I dare say that you wouldn't have to do any supporting modifications to your rig to run these 60mm tires. Now let's get into the big dogs here, the mud studs. I'm so excited to get into these. I actually bought a set of these earlier before DJ Crawler sent me over this batch of tires to check out. So I've been running these on some other builds, which you might have seen if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok. But these tires are huge, huge, huge. Again, they come with the firm inserts separately. The soft insert is installed. But these things are behemoths of 1-inch tires. I mean, this is just outrageous. They are so big, and they maintain that incredibly soft, sticky compound, just like their little brothers do. Right. So sticky. I don't think they're as sticky as the middle tire that we looked at there, the all-terrain style. Close though, and they're just so enormous. Soft insert is very soft, which you can imagine could pose some challenges with a tire of this size. You're going to get a lot of sidewall flex. You're going to get a lot of body roll with the tires. So this is one where I might actually prefer to run the stiffer insert just for the sidewall strength and the rigidity of the tire. But I've actually got some Flub RC slime balls coming for these, because I think that's really what these tires need, is a 3D printed insert where you get that sidewall strength, but that nice conformity from the top. Let's do some size comparisons with these ones. If we were to look at these against a Little Guy Racing Parts Trail King, it's hard to believe that there's a tire out there that makes the Trail King look small. I mean, these mud studs at 68mm are 5mm taller than the Trail Kings. Width is very similar though. We look at them against the Little Guy Racing Parts Trench King, which is a very big tire. 64mm, arguably a little bit taller for the Trench Kings, and you can still see the gap in size against the mud stud. They are taller and wider than the Trench Kings are. So just a massive, massive tire here. You're really going to need something with open wheel wells, a comp style build. The FCX24 or the CR18P, particularly the T-Hunter, could get away with running these because it's got big area for big tires. But an SCX24 or a TRX4M, you're going to need something with open wheel wells to run these monsters. Just for the heck of it, let's look at them against a stock SCX24 tire. Here it is against the Trail Grappler. It's so huge. It makes the Trail Grappler look like a donut spare tire from a car truck. How about the TRX4M? Let's look against the Canyon Trail. Again, Canyon Trail is a wide tire, but look at the size difference on these things. The mud studs are just massive. This is outrageous. Okay, now that we've checked all of these out, we've done some size comparisons. Let's get these things mounted up on some wheels, and then we'll put them on some builds and try them out. Okay, here we are with our 3 sets of tires mounted up on 3 different rigs. Let's take a look at what we got here. From my left to right, let's check them out. First up, we have the Super Swamper looking tires here. Put these on Rust Bucket, which was previously running the Swamp King tires from Little Guy Racing Parts, which is a 64mm tire. Put these on this rig because it has the portal axles on it. I wanted to bring the ride height down a little bit, so I figured these would be a great aggressive tire on this build and would help settle the chassis a little bit. So first impressions of these, I think they look amazing. They are so aggressive looking. They carry that aggressive look like the Swamp Kings did. Even though they're 4 millimeters shorter, they still have a very big, meaty presence to them. Next up, we're going to take a look at the all-terrain looking tires here. Now, put these on the C10, which was previously running the Power Hobby Mud Boss tires, which are very similar in size, both in height and width to these. So this was almost a direct swap. These look very cool. I'm actually very impressed with how these tires look. Again, it's more of a hybrid looking tire, not nearly as aggressive as the first ones we looked at there, but they've still got a nice tread pattern on them, aggressive sidewall, and a good profile of these tires. I think they look great on the C10. The stickiness of these tires is just insane. I'm so anxious to try these things out. Mounted these up on the RC four-wheel drive stamped steel beadlocks, and again had no issues whatsoever with mounting them. And finally, we got these 68 millimeter mud studs, these monsters. I originally had these on the T-Hunter, the CR18P T-Hunter, but even on the T-Hunter, which has huge wheel wells, I was still getting rubbing issues with the front. So I opted to put them on something open, and I put them on the TRX 4M comp build here that I have, which ultimately I think is a mistake because this also has the portal axles on it. So 68 millimeter tires combined with the portal axles really raises the center of gravity on this thing. So I will most certainly take these off of this rig, but I needed something to demo them on. So this is what we've got for right now. These things are just incredible. I mean, they are just so humongous. They're so soft and sticky. You know, the tread pattern on these, I didn't really talk about this earlier, but they've got a kind of comp pin style tread pattern. Just very, very soft. I'm running the soft foams in all of these tires, and you can just see the squish of these things just sitting under its own weight. They are just sagging and squishing. I can just envision a couple different things. One is massive conformity to rocks. I think these things are just going to wrap themselves around rocks and grab and grip. But I can also see a lot of body roll right there. You see them just falling over on themselves. This is where a 3D printed insert or the stiffer foams might be needed with these tires. But look at that roll. It's crazy. So we'll see. I did have a second set. Remember, I had two of these. I put the other set on the Slayer build. Check this out. Now the Slayer can really benefit from these taller tires because it is just so low. And this had the 64, 65 millimeter Endura comp pins on it prior. So these are a small step up for the Slayer. So this is actually going to lift the belly up off the ground a little bit, which I think could help me with my breakover, which I was struggling a little bit with this long wheelbase rig. But how gnarly does the Slayer look with these things on it? The black wheels, these behemoth tires on here. The Slayer just looks so rad with these things on here. Very impressive. The tires are so big when you put them on these LCG kits, these belly draggers. The tires are almost bigger than the entire chassis itself. And someone made a comment when I first said I was going to review these tires that if I put these on the Warthog, I wondered if it could drive upside down. I actually tried that. And I put these on the Warthog and flipped it over. And the back, I think, touched, but I couldn't get the front to touch and couldn't get it to drive upside down, unfortunately. But I did try. Speaking of trying, that's enough talking about these things. Let's put them on the indoor course. We're going to do a run with each of them, see how these things stack up on the indoor course, and then we're going to take them outside and hit the rocks. So why don't we hit the course first, kick this off. First up on the indoor course, we've got the Super Swampers looking. I cannot remember the model number of these, but let's try these out first. Running these on the four-wheel steering rust bucket here. See how they do. First time ever running these tires, so bear in mind this is the first time they are ever seeing any type of terrain. Tires generally get better as they break in, so these are our virgin runs here. They look fantastic. Look at those things. I love how they look. These are on vented wheels. The Little Guy Racing Parts wheels are vented. These are able to grab really well. Those big chunky lugs are doing really good on the ledges of the canyon here, hooking up very well. I've got a passenger in the back. There we go, I lost that. Dropping down on the other side here, we'll see how these do on Mini Moab on the spray foam installation. Normally I would bump the throttle over there. I just really wanted to see how these things hook up, and they grab very well. So far these things are mighty impressive on the indoor course. Some of the best tires I've encountered on the styrofoam here. Look at these things grip. Wow. Let's try some side hill. We're going to come across the base of the chute, which is about a 36 to 40 degree incline depending on where we hit it. But this will test the sidewall flex on these tires. Not bad, I don't feel. These 60 millimeters, despite being very soft, held their shape pretty well. Let's try Hell's Gate here. We cruise up the escalator pretty easy. Try the real hard line here. I'm really impressed with these on the indoor course. They just grip so well. Slight understeer there. That's pretty common on this section though. Portals make this thing sit really high. This is going to be a tricky section. Able to pull it off though. Very nice. The C10, the People's Champ Mini Hulk. Here we go. Really digging how these tires look. These are not vented and the wheels are not vented. So these have a slight disadvantage as far as the conformity and the squish goes, but we'll see. The C10 is also lighter. Look at these things, picking up everything. The stickiness of these things is just insane. C10 is running the Spectrum Firma brushless system. A little jumpy, if you can't tell. Off topic, but I do have some underdrive gears coming that I'm hoping will smooth this thing out. Approaching the canyon here, a little bit of a different line. Look at the grip. Again, these DJ Crawler tires just crushing the indoor course. That was a super challenging line. Not many builds can do that line. C10 Mini Hulk, proving why we call it the Mini Hulk here. Dropping down into Mini Moab. Let's see how these work on the installation. Had to bump it there just because I don't have the slow crawl ability with this motor, but boy, these things grip so hard. Despite being a less aggressive lug pattern, man, just stick like glue. Now let's try some side hill with the C10 here. So jumpy. I'm getting some rubbing in the front on here. And these are doing really good on a side hill perspective. Remember, these are not vented, so I think these are going to hold their shape a little better. Oh, I'm in trouble there, though. Let's try Hell's Gate. I think we lost it on the side hill there because the C10 is just not as heavy on the bottom. Got the brass portals on the other rig. Was able to keep it planted. C10's got the cap on it, a little heavier up top. But let's try this line. I feel a little hamstrung from this Spectrum system because I just can't ease it up. It just wants to go. Oh my gosh, I saved it there. Tires are hooking up really well. I'm able to navigate some tricky lines here, pause, reposition, and go, and ultimately make it up. Cool. Last but certainly not least, here is the TRX 4M comp build with the mighty mud studs on it. Thing's got a rock bouncer look to it. It's so tall with these big tires. Able to navigate Articulation Alley there with ease. Got so much clearance. Now this thing is running the FuryTech brushless system. It's on vented wheels. The portal axles, there's a lot of weight. Look at this thing squish. Thus far, I am tremendously impressed with these tires, particularly how they work on the styrofoam on the indoor course. We'll see if the mud studs can pull off the same amount of performance. Going for the same line as the C10, able to pull it off with ease. See it start and roll over there, that sidewall flex. Able to stick it though. Just drop down and check out the escalator over here. Again, just able to crawl up over that gatekeeper that snags a lot of rigs. Usually have to use a lot of power there. Just able to cruise up it. So much conformity from these tires. I'm getting a little bit of understeer, not a lot though. Sticks it clean up the escalator. Try some side hill action with these big boys. You can see them starting to roll over on themselves there, especially in the back. Really relying on the slow crawl of the FuryTech system to get me over here, which it does. Whoa, that was close. Look at these things fold. Stick it though. I'm actually pleasantly surprised by how well this rig is doing. I thought with the portals and these tires it would be virtually unusable, but it's actually quite good. Let's try Hell's Gate here. Easy peasy, no issues at all. Man, all three of these tires, very impressive. Here's the mighty Slayer on the DJ Crawler, 68 millimeter tires. This thing looks glorious. Can't wait to try this thing out. These tires are perfect for the Slayer, I feel. The extra clearance from the big tires helping tremendously through Articulation Alley. Running the soft foams on these are not vented. Was thinking that by not venting them and running the softer foams, I might find a good middle ground of squishiness, but also maintain some sidewall strength. So let's see. Those things to hook, and they do. Slayer hitting one of the gnarliest lines on the course right there, coming up the canyon. Very impressive. Issues that would hang me up before on the belly are not an issue now, which is great. Drop down into Mini Moab. We'll try out the escalator here. Look at that, very impressive. Didn't have to bump or anything, just cruised right up that gatekeeper. A little bit understeer, but still stick it at the top. Nice run. Try some side hill here. You can see with this one, not a lot of folding on the tires at all on this rig because it's lighter, and I think the insert and the venting setup that we've got really helped it. Try Hell's Gate. Clean, fast run up Hell's Gate, no problem. Let's kick off our rock test. We're out here at Reckless Hobbies. They're doing a crawler event, but we're going to hit the 110 course with these little guys and see how they do. First up, we've got the Super Swamper looking tires on the Rust Bucket build here. Like sandy, loose dirt there. We can crawl through it. Yeah, we'll find some traction. Figured that's where those would excel. That was a good spot to test them. Now we're coming up this pretty steep incline here. We'll see how they do on this slick uphill. They're pretty good. This is a real tight, steep descent here. Let's see if we can. Oh, it saves it. Come down over here into this just general rocky section. We'll just see how they do on some basic crawling here. Now this does have the portal axles on it, so it's going to do pretty well in this section, I think. Able to wiggle my way out there with the four-wheel steering. Come in some more technical sections here. Come up to this section, we've got a nice slick log to try to climb up here. Let's see if we can do this. Struggling to find traction on that slick surface. We might have to bypass this one. Yep. Nice, these big meaty tires. You know, struggling a little bit on these really slick surfaces, to be expected. They are hooking up really well on the jagged surfaces though, just like I mentioned earlier, those big sharp edged lugs on the sides really do a good job clawing onto things out here. All right, next up is the all-terrains on the C10 here. Hooked up pretty good in that gatekeeper. Guys, the wheel speed on this Spectrum system is crazy. See how these do in the loose? No problem getting up over that loose section. I expect these to stick pretty well on this uphill because these tires are so sticky and they deliver. Comes that super technical downhill. Oh, I think we're gonna pull it off. Had to help it a little bit there. I was stuck on the servo. Impressed with these tires so far. Doing pretty good. These seem to grip really well on these slick round rocks. That sticky compound and the dense lug pattern, I think, just provides a lot of traction here. C10 is doing great. Oh, maybe we'll just muscle out of there, thankfully, with that motor as the wheel speed to get out of those tricky situations at 20 power. Let's see how these do on this log here. These are also struggling. Might just be too slick for these little guys. Do the bypass action there. Not a lot of flex in these tires. Again, these are not vented. Seems to be a good setup on here. They're super soft. Even with the soft foams, they're holding their shape really well. I like it. Good run. All right, last up is the Mighty Slayer with the 68 millimeter tires. I opted to run the Slayer just because I was really excited to try it. Those big tires just float over the loose stuff. Let's see how it does on the incline. No problem at all. To be expected, given the length of this thing and the center of gravity. Really thankful for the assistance on the breakover with these tall tires. If you follow this build, you know that's a struggle for me with this long wheelbase. See this descent here. Sticks it. Again, it's the advantage of that chassis setup for sure. Gosh, these big tires, the thing is able to just float over these obstacles. No problem. Very impressive so far. Crushing lines out here. This thing's doing so well. Now let's see how this does on the log climb here. None of the other builds were able to do it. Oh, we got a good start here. Oh, look at that. Wow. Very impressive run. Back from Reckless Hobbies after a good afternoon of testing these tires out on the rock course. After spending some significant time on them with the 3 rigs, so I brought the C10 with the all-terrains, I brought the Rust Bucket with the Super Swamper style, and I busted out the Slayer with the 68mm tires on them. And after running these for a little while on the rocks, I gotta say I am very impressed with the DJ Crawler tires. All of them. All 3 sets of these tires have an amazing compound, aggressive tread design. They performed extremely well on the indoor course and did great on the rock course. They've got super sticky compound that's on par with the best in the business. It's great that they provide the extra set of inserts so you can tune your tires right out of the bag, and they're priced super affordably. My preferred setup with these turned out to be a unvented setup, so a non-vented wheel, non-vented tire running the soft foams. That seemed to work the best on the C10 and on the Slayer build. The Super Swamper style on the vented wheels still did really well, but I felt like these things are so soft with the soft insert in them that the right combination of air pressure combined with the soft insert and the super soft compound tires worked really well on a non-vented setup. Now I am going to try experimenting with some 3D printed inserts. I have some Flub RC slime balls coming, and I'm really excited to try those, especially in the giant 68mm. These tires are also priced to sell, although they can be a little bit tricky to find. The 68mm tires I scored on Amazon. The other 2 I saw pop up on AliExpress. I'll put the links down in the description below as I can find them if you want to check them out. But overall, really dig these tires, had a great time with them. All 3 of them I really like, and would definitely recommend them if you're looking for an upgrade over your stock tires or just want to try something new. But let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of the DJ Crawler tires? And as always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so, and I will see you in the next video.